Hey everybody, Emad here from Emadifications. 2022 is coming to an end, so wanted to do a quick recap of this awesome year. It's been a really good one, but let's start with, what did I start the year with when it comes to my cars? So back in January, I had my 2013 MX-5 Miata, my 2018 Buick Regal Tour X wagon, and then I had my 2018 Kia Stinger GT sedan. As of October of this year, I no longer own any of these cars. Now I have a very economical hatchback, a very nice family sedan, and of course, a very environmentally friendly electric crossover. So 2022 was a pretty big year of change for me, and I got a lot of slack for it from friends and family, including stuff like, what's wrong with you? You have a problem? Why did you change it? Why did you get a slower car? I started the year with my Miata, my Tour X, and my Stinger, and I really loved that lineup. It was a really solid lineup. A lot of cars that people kind of were intrigued by, but not a lot of people bought, especially the Tour X. I made some really good friends from these cars as well. However, 2.5 years into the Tour X, it was time for change. I have a 2 to 3 year limit. So we started looking at different cars. And with that being said, we decided that it was time for the Tour X to be sold. And I cleaned it up, sold it, and had a really solid 2.5 years with it. So what was next? So I really liked the Kia and the Stinger combination. However, my wife needed a car. So we really were looking for this Sorento SX Prestige. We wanted that third row option. However, right around this time, the Ioniq 5 and the EV6 got announced. I really love the Ioniq 5. I called multiple places, but my wife wanted the Sorento. She still loves the interior. She'd seen them in person. We weren't ready to go EV, but I had my eyes set on the Ioniq 5. And then the EV6 started showing up in random dealerships, so I started calling around about those, but I still wanted the Ioniq 5 and my wife still wanted the Sorento. So I decided that the first one I could find without a markup, I would buy. So I called around, I called. Everybody wanted pretty decent markups. I'm talking 5 to 15K in some situations. That just wasn't an option. That being said, in came Dorsch Kia Ford from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Now I live in Texas, remember that. And they were selling with a package that I wanted, but I took that opportunity, jumped on a plane, and went and bought it.
Ooh, there it is. Oh, it's awesome. This color is incredible. Of course, you'd park it next to the Sorento I wanted, like black, the blue with the black.
Yeah, we got these off the carrier.
After a bunch of paperwork and a bunch of signing, I was out. It was a really easy experience. So February 12th, 2022, I was officially the owner of the EV6. This was actually my first EV experience ever. I'd never had one, I'd never charged on one. So I decided, of course, that this trip, after I picked up my friend Jordan, who you may know from previously from Out of Spec, but also from Flywheel Films, joined me from Chicago to Dallas. And it was a long road trip, and it was fun, but it was I learned a lot of lessons on that trip. And finally, the car was home after a day or so. And now in my driveway, I had a Kia EV6, a Miata, and a Kia Stinger. And we started getting down to the shenanigans. We did 0 to 60 runs. We did drag races between the EV6 and the Stinger, and I started putting my touch on this car pretty quickly, especially in a market that had no love for this car just yet. I even had some aftermarket wheels sitting around, gave it my first wash, and I was ready to go with this car.
This was also around the time I launched Emadifications, my YouTube channel, which saw pretty good growth with the purchase of the EV6. So thank you for all your support, and I look forward to making more content throughout 2023 on the EV6 and the rest of my vehicles.
And as per usual, every time I buy a car, I try to celebrate. So we had a quick runaway trip to San Diego, California, one of my favorite places to visit, and that was it. We celebrated the EV6. But going back to the cars, I started taking the EV6 to car shows, started modifying it, got some wheels on it, I got my wall box, and I was able to charge at home. Life was a lot easier.
This is around the time I saw a lot of success with my videos, most of them being on the EV6 and its features.
What do you think they could make better on the outside of the EV6?
we're gonna dive right in and talk about all the things I've changed on my 2022 Kia EV6. Let's get started.
The other side was easier because I was prepared.
However, as usual, I wasn't very satisfied. Did I need 2 automatic cars in the house? At this point, my wife loved driving the EV6 so much that she didn't drive the other cars whatsoever. So I was like, why do I not just get another manual? So I started looking, I looked at multiple cars, and I have a video based on what I was looking at. And then I ended up with a 2019 Golf R. Now that's a pretty big change from the Stinger, but at the end of the day, it was the manual I was looking for, a lot of power to be made, and also still fairly practical. Immediately I started modifying the Golf R, did some aesthetics to it, and of course, because I bought a new car, it was time for a trip. And this time it was a much bigger trip than San Diego. I went out to Seoul, Korea. This trip was a blast. It was filled with food, cars, of course I was there for work, so work was involved, but we went to the BMW track event. We also went to the Hyundai Museum and we got to see a lot of the end stuff and experience some cool VR. Saw some awesome electric trucks that we don't see in the US. Again, food. It was a recharge I needed. And then when I got back, I was still in full-blown mode of modifying the Golf R. So did the intake, got some wheels for it, got some mats for the EV6. So it was just kind of work in progress on both sides. So where was the Miata in all of this? That's what a lot of people are probably wondering. The Miata just kind of sat there. It kind of sat in the third spot for a while. I didn't enjoy the car as much as I used to when I lived in Colorado. We used to go on a lot of canyon cruises. I had a lot of good friends that I made through the Miata community. However, I just wasn't in love with it anymore. I was looking for a change. I wanted something a little bit different. And then I listed it, got what I wanted for it, and in July it was gone after 5 solid years.
There it goes.
Living at sea level now, I wanted a V8. Just much better than owning a V8 in Colorado. And I really like the C5, C6 Corvettes. The C5 was in my budget, so I found a really untouched C5 Corvette. Not my favorite color, but the car itself was in really good shape. It was a roadster manual. I did a video on why I bought a C5 Corvette.
And today I am excited to show you my new C5, new to me, C5 Corvette.
I did some stuff to it. I replaced the seats because the seats kind of sucked. And then of course I just did some minor cosmetic mods and some suspension stuff. So I was a happy owner of a C5 Corvette now. And of course, you know, if I got a car, it was time to go on a trip. So I took a really, really cool road trip all across Colorado and New Mexico in the Golf R. I was so excited about taking this trip in that car, and I planned on hitting a lot of cool mountain roads, and that's exactly what I did. I did this solo trip, and really all this trip did was make me really fall in love with the Golf R. And once I got back, I immediately had decided that I was going to go stage 2 on this car. So that process started very quickly. In the meantime, a lot of stuff was going on with the EV6 too. M&S is a company that I've kind of used some parts on my Stinger, and they relocated from New York to Houston, and they were having a grand opening party. So I decided to go and attend. I went and saw them, we had some conversations, and all of a sudden my EV6 was going to SEMA. Really, really exciting, and I was just like, what? So went and dropped the EV6 off in Houston for a few weeks until SEMA. So going back to what was happening with the Corvette.
You're good.
I was expecting...
I fell in love with the Corvette. I had friends that drove in, they were like, wow, this is a great car. Enough so where I was like, I'm gonna sell the C5 and I'm gonna just jump up into a C6. However, I scoured the forums, I scoured the marketplace. The C6s that I could afford were not the C6s I wanted to own. There were some junky ones out there. And it was a joke what people were charging for these C6s. So I basically scrapped that plan, and I was already out of that C5 because I sold it. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna buy another V8. And lo and behold, I found this Emola yellow, not my favorite color, B6 S4. and I was super excited about buying it. It sounded so good. And now I was the owner of 2 German cars and an electric Korean car. So now we're down to October, and all of a sudden SEMA's happening, and my EV6 is on a trailer on its way to Las Vegas. I got to go to SEMA as well, courtesy of M&S, amazing group of people. And man, SEMA was a cool experience. And it wasn't just because there was so much cool stuff to see there. Having my car there was just such a cool experience. Just seeing it there and the work that M&S had put into the body kit and everything was just so awesome to see. And I will never trade that experience in, and it was just such a great experience to have that. Then all of a sudden SEMA's over, and now I have a very unique EV6. Very happy with this car, very happy with what M&S was able to do with this car. Now going back to the Golf R, I got back from SEMA, we're talking late October now, and I'm just getting my stage 2 stuff done on my Golf R. So new clutch, new downpipe, new tune from Unitronics, and I get the car back and it's just a beast. I'm in love with it. And of course, let's not forget about the S4. Just wanted to give it some love, got some new exhaust tips on it, and just some maintenance, keep that engine running before I have to invest in the timing chain. So now I have a B6 S4 V8 manual. I have a 2019 Mark 7.5 Golf R manual stage 2, and then I have a Kia EV6 with a lot of custom parts on it. It's an awesome lineup. I look at my garage every day. It's not a super expensive garage. You know, I don't have supercars, hypercars. I don't have an M4 and a CT5V Blackwing sitting in my garage, but I truly love my lineup. And I don't know how long it's gonna stay this way. As of right now, I have a lot of other priorities in life that I have to focus on. So my cars are gonna be a little bit on the back burner, but I am gonna do stuff to these cars. So don't just unsubscribe because I'm not gonna buy new cars or anything like that. I know there was a lot of back and forth in this video of all my cars, but that's really just how things went. It was constantly, I'm doing this with this car, then all of a sudden I'm changing it while this is happening with this car. So that's just what this year was. However, the one thing I did not mention is my Emadifications channel. And I wanted to really give a big thanks to everybody who is subscribing, who watches. Even if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. I truly appreciate people communicating with me, connecting with me, asking me questions, and it's even helped me. It's helped me figure out kind of like what my passions are when it comes to cars, how to make videos. And you know, I'm not a pro. So it's just cool to see the channel grow. And from the bottom of my heart, I truly appreciate everybody who watches these videos. Sometimes I ramble, but please let me know what kind of content you want. I'm happy to do vlogs. I'm happy to do reviews. I'm happy to do DIY videos. I just don't focus on one thing too much just yet. But if there's any suggestions or anything you have, please let me know. I just love discussing this stuff, and it's really just my passion. I don't do this because I'm monetized and I'm making so much money, because I'm not. I do it because I truly just like discussing this. Even my videos that have 34 views, I had fun making them. Nobody cares about my S4, but I do, and I like making content on it, and there's probably 12 people globally that are like, I'm gonna watch this video. So again, thanks everybody for a really cool 2022 with the Emadifications channel. 2023 should, I hope, be a good year for everybody, and I'm excited to share my journey and my car stuff with the rest of the YouTube world. So thanks and stay tuned. More to come. Happy New Year, everybody.